Thank you. I'd like to think my staff would do the same thing, but I'm not sure at this point. Welcome to New Zealand's oldest Rotary Club in its 95th year, and in the international Rotary terms, the theme by the International Rotary President John F. Germ, who's just equally, this is his same window. His theme for the next year is Rotary Serving Humanity, which shouldn't be a surprise to anybody because that's at the core of what we do. So welcome in. There is one guest today, and it's my guest, Kate Williams. I'll ask Kate to stand. Kate's my EA who's going to make me get through this year, and Kate is sitting with her father, Brian Keon. So Kate, welcome. You'll see how it works. You'll put faces to the names that I talk about, and then we can help get through this year in a very seamless and smooth way. So welcome. I'll ask George to say grace, please.
As we give thanks today for such a beautiful day and for all the earth and everything in it, and we have called it good. We have been given much. Help us to treasure those gifts and to care for them, and also to share them generously, especially with those who have less than we do.
Thanks, George. Mobile phones, please, and just make sure they're on silent or vibrate. And if you're not wearing your name tag, it's not too late before you get fined to just pick it up quietly as you go for a coffee. We've got some changes of speakers today who will be welcomed later on, but there is a bit of flu going around, and the speaker today, Honey McGregor, the Chief Executive for Forest and Bird, is struck down. And Jess Winchester, the Relationship Manager from Forest and Bird, is going to cover for Honey. And at the same time, and Jess will do about 10 minutes, and then we've got Ed Tridger, excuse me Ed for mispronouncing your name, and who's from Wellington Conservation Volunteers, and they will double act to make sure we're right up to play with what's happening in Wellington and Wellington Greenbelt and Conservation. So to welcome to both of you. There are no other guests, no other visiting Rotarians. Are there any world travellers departing? Marion? No. Thank you. And world travellers returning? So for those departing, yes, given the power of the dollar, make sure it's a fair, depending where you're travelling to, but it should be a good return. One birthday, Grant Foggo, on the 10th of July, so happy birthday to Grant. The Sergeant session today is Leanna, and I'll invite Leanna to come up and run the Sergeant session. Leanna is a substitute and a volunteer, moreover, for Derek, and in an old world I came from, there was no such, nobody ever volunteered, so it's nice to see you. Thank you. Leanna, yours.
President Mark, welcome. You're the new kid on the block, just like me standing up here, so I trust you'll be paying lots. Our vocational committee has been doing some awesome things to empower social enterprise, and we're getting some traction. And with next month, the Dragon's Dens Awards heating up, today's Sergeant session is all about putting the social into enterprise. So, quick game's a good game. That's me. What is a social enterprise? Quick definition. Anyone volunteer? Let's just keep things simple. Self-sustaining. So ultimately, using a business model for a social purpose, for something like better education, equality, health, or environment. So it's not about what we do, but rather the focus is on why. And the how keeps us true to that. So in the how, we've got many different models of social enterprise, charities, co-ops, everyday people just wanting to solve something that the world's throwing at us. So the potential in New Zealand is huge. My question to you is, which social enterprise in New Zealand questioned and disrupted the global supply chain about 40 years ago? Years ago? There's a Rotarian in the room who had a lot of amazing work behind this. Trade aid. And what is their why? Believing that trade can lift the world's poor out of poverty. So their focus is on the welfare of the world's more disadvantaged producers, and their vision is to create a more just world. So they started out with supporting Tibetan refugees, and today still supporting Tibetan carpet weavers. But now they have a lot more producers. How many do they have? Yeah, 75. Amazing work. And they get their social accounting impact reporting on their website. Another business model is the buy one, give one. So there's a new social enterprise that was founded who won an excellence in social innovation. Does anyone know who this social enterprise is? Yes. Eat my lunch. So for every lunch that you buy, they'll give a lunch to a Kiwi kid in need. So what was the problem? What did they question? They looked at the fact that 1 in 4 New Zealand children live in poverty and go without lunch every day. So rather than just looking at it and feeling overwhelmed, they decided to do something about it. What is their why? To make it easy for Kiwis to help other Kiwis. To alleviate poverty, starting with a simple thing, school lunches. So again, a very specific purpose, and their impact, again, is measured. The fact that they're able to donate about 250,000 lunches so that teachers can actually focus on education rather than helping to provide food. So we've chatted through very briefly a couple of different models of social enterprise, but what do they have in common? I've been banging on about it quite a lot, so please pay if you haven't said purpose-driven, mission-driven. So the future. In the UK, there are an estimated 70,000 social enterprises. How many billion do they contribute to the UK economy? Anyone want to hazard a guess? 55 billion dollars. The quantification in New Zealand for the sector isn't that well established, but the opportunity is huge. So how do we get there? If you don't know, you can pay. But we'll figure it out. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Leanna. I hope we all paid. There's no way we even got close to the amount of money that you came to in the last slide. Thank you, because that's a theme actually that resonates through this club. Illness has struck some other speakers today, so we're covering a wee bit as we go through this. We have an induction first. So, the induction today is for Kevin Bayliss. And Roger will be the introducer. So could I ask the team to assemble, please? And James will do the induction. You might have to save the...
Just come out there.
You're welcome. Thank you.
President Mark, fellow Rotarians, it's my pleasure to formally introduce to you Kevin Bayliss. Kevin's a proud Wellingtonian in the last 20 years, but does regret having been born and schooled in Auckland. But moving on, he then progressed and was educated at Otago University, graduating in 1991 with a degree in economics. Subsequently, Kevin has worked in software, both in firms, both in New Zealand, Australia, Asia and the United Kingdom. some of those including start-up companies. Kevin is now with Digital Communications, Digital Transformation, Kevin, my apologies, and leads a team of 20 personnel there. And if you're like me, you want to know what digital transformation is. So I actually got this off Kevin. It uses cloud capabilities of Microsoft and Google and brings a New Zealand flavour to those technologies that can help New Zealand companies grow. Outside of work, Kevin is married, 3 children under the age of 12. He's a keen skier, keen tennis player at the Kandala Club, keen follower of the Hurricanes when they win, and I'm sure he'll contribute to our Rotary Club well in the years ahead. Thank you, Mr. President.
Kevin, it's a great pleasure to welcome you to our club after your application was approved by the board and then endorsed by the full membership of the club. The Rotary Club of Wellington welcomes you because you have shown yourself to be a worthy representative of your vocation, committed to the ideals of Rotary, and are clearly willing to do your part in putting these ideals into practice. Since Paul Harris convened the first meeting in Chicago in 1905, Rotary International has gained a reputation for service that is unmatched throughout the world. Through your induction today, you are now a full part of this international Rotary service team, now joining 1.2 million Rotarians in 35,000 clubs around the world. Our principal motto is service above self, and the objective of our club and other Rotary clubs is to encourage and foster such service. Now, all members are aware that everything we do is guided by our 4-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair for all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Your proposer, Roger, has outlined the expectations we have on your attendance at our luncheons and your involvement in our extensive ranges of committees and trusts. We'll do our best to ensure you enjoy your Rotary journey with our club, and we value your help in maintaining the robust standards our club has achieved.
Kevin, it's my privilege on behalf of the club to welcome you to our club, to give you the Rotary badge, which will get you into any one of the 33,000 Rotary clubs globally, of the 1.2 million Rotarians, and a small white pack which includes a congratulations certificate, includes the 4-way test, and includes the handbook and a guide for new members. Welcome to New Zealand's biggest and oldest Rotary Club, and look forward to you making a contribution of service before self.
Okay, thank you very much.
Kevin, welcome. We did have a 5-minute talk by Yusuf, but Yusuf is ill. So I've thrown on the spot to go with the theme today, Richard Norman, to talk about one of the centennial projects called The Forest at the Heart of Wellington. This is a big deal for the Rotary Club and has got long-term impact for us and for Wellington. Richard.
Talk about the impromptu speaker challenge. I got this 2 minutes ago with a note over the table, but it's very connected with the speakers that we'll have immediately after this fellowship time. And I guess by talking now, I can hopefully persuade some of you to have a talk to our speakers in advance. Now, this idea of 100,000 plants came, I guess, from must have been out on the town belt some years back as we were working our way through 2,500 per year. The ambition went up from 500 a year to 2,500 in about 2012. And with council support, since then we've had 5 years of planting, 2,500 a year. How many were out last Saturday? Where are the stayers from last Saturday? Only, yes, there's a handful, yeah. And how many were out on the previous Saturday, which was a bit of a bumper one? So we had 2 weeks ago, we had 29 people out, including virtually the whole of the Lions Club at Wellington out planting. Last week wasn't quite so strong, with about 15 to 20, but the net result over 2 weeks there was a bit over 500 on each of the Saturdays. and Ed will refer to more of this. So the conservation volunteers' input's already starting to show the value or the importance of having a professionally organised team being able to assist. And they were working during this last week with Wellington College. How many Wellington College old boys are here? Oh, right. There's not a one. Not a one. Because I reckon they've got to be part of this longer term deal. And last week, because the planting is just right behind them, and last week they showed what they can do in having 3 teams of schoolboys out during the day planting up to around 1,000 plants. And they're now scheduled, Ed, is that right? You got them scheduled to do what the conservationists politely call releasing. What a great pseudonym, isn't it? Weeding. So Wellington College boys and weeding, I think that sounds a really good exercise to be bed into the project. So you're going to hear after the break a perspective from Forest and Bird, and an organisation founded just 18 months after this Rotary Club. And that's why the connection with Forest and Bird is developed as a way of looking at 2 organisations, both founded in Wellington, both celebrating their centennials around a similar time. And so I'm hoping that's going to be a really productive partnership, which Jess Winchester is going to talk more about. I'll introduce Jess and also explain why Honey McGregor's not here. And then we'll hear from Ed Trugidja, who's the Wellington manager for conservation volunteers, about some of the practical details of making 100,000 plants work. There's only 60,000 to go. Right.
Thank you. This is a big deal in our centennial, 100,000 trees by 2021, with 60,000 to go. And it's really typical of how our club operates, which is not for us to do it all, really to facilitate others to do that from it, whether it's the Wellington College or whether it's a number of other organisations. It's how do we use the good offices of the Wellington Rotary Club to be able to facilitate all that. Huge ambition. Please do get right behind it. Please take till 1 o'clock as fellowship time, grab dessert, grab a coffee.